Hi, we are in Cow Pens, South Carolina. Why are we in Cow Pens, South Carolina? First off, Q Pacer, and welcome my friends. We are here at the Cow Pens National Battleground, where if you saw our one video about the Revolutionary War in Kings Mountain, North Carolina, you'll understand we're going to do the South Carolina version of it, take you through, show you some of the stuff, explain how some of the battles took place down here in South Carolina, and how, you know, the rebels, not the rebels, that wrong war. All the Americans that fought for the independence of this country, what they did here in South Carolina, how they helped shape what is now our great country. So come on along and let's check it out, and I hope you have some fun. Let's go. Woohoo! As we're going into the Battleground Museum, they have certain little stones, I guess you could say. You can see this one. It says the Battle of Camden, August 16th, 1780. There's a couple more. I'm going to walk over here. As you can see, this humongous monument. I love this thing. It's awesome. And we've already done a video on this. The Battle of Kings Mountain, October 7th, 1780. Now, on we go. There's a bit of a glare. This is the Patriot Army. Daniel Morgan knew his men the night before the battle. He moved among the militia. He called for courage, but did not ask raw soldiers to face British bayonet. Daniel Morgan, I'm assuming, helped with a major fight down here in South Carolina. We have, trying to keep the glare away, the weaponry that was used during, the Revolutionary War. I have a lot of respect for them. They were hard-fighting people. They're going to show a film. I'm not entirely sure how much of that we can get. Here's another cannon. Imagine the sound coming out of that early morning, fighting back and forth. There's the weaponry that was used to load said cannon. This, Lieutenant Colonel John Eager Howard, commanding the main battle line in Cow Pens, January 17th, 1781. He's a Patriot soldier, so I guess this is some of his stuff, some of his personal effects. I'm assuming, this could be a replica of what he wore, or this could actually be what he wore. Not entirely sure.
This is one of the cannons. Battle of Cow Pens. It's really interesting here. Colonel Washington, William Washington. Andrew Pickens. Major This is called a dragoon uniform. Intolerant Legion made up of the provincial light dragoons of the infantry. They wore green coats with black cuffs and white or buff breeches. Regiment of Foot. Soldiers of Regiment of Foot, also known as fusiliers, for the light muskets or fusiliers they had once carried. They wore the traditional red British coats at the time of battle, Cow Pens.
British soldier William Lawrence. I was in the front line in the beginning of the action, and upon the first fire, we fell back upon the second line. Major Timothy Newmarsh, British 7th Regiment. Colonel Tarleton has ordered my unit, the 7th Regiment, to form upon the left of the Legion infantry. The other 3-pounder is to be given to the right division of the 7th. A captain with 50 dragoons is to be placed on each flank of the corps. The 1st Battalion of the 71st is to extend a little to the left of the 7th Regiment and to remain 150 yards in the rear. The infantry and near 200 cavalry will comprise the reserve. However, the 71st were moving up to form in line with the rest of the troops when their right flank brushed the left flank of my regiment and became intermixed. I was posting my officers when the order was given to reorder my left flank. There was more confusion among my men because a scattering of fire commenced by some of the recruits. I silenced them to the utmost of my power and led the line back into action. This, of course, caused my fusiliers to lag behind.
Absolutely fascinating. More weaponry. Long guns, man. Think about that. It took so much time to load it. I never understood the whole, stand there while they load, you fire, and then they fire, and then you fire, and it never made any sense to me. But, I mean, I guess that's how war was done back then.
The day dawned cold and quiet. I never forget just how still that morning was. That'd soon change, Sammy.
Finish, almost up the road. Let's move. Let's go, boys. Get up your arms. Granny's coming.
Master Todd.
Let's go. Roll out. Let's your weapons. Let's your smart. Granny's coming. We're gonna need him.
Fine. It's General Morgan calling.
Get up your arms, boys. Get up your arms.
Todd was something else again. Rash. Rage to a fault. And he was on our side. Considerably here. But to us, Tartan was nothing more than a prime cutthroat. Butchered hundreds of our lads at Waxhaws in May. We hated him. South Carolina hated him. I heard Tartan had around 1,200 redcoats with him. As for us, we had 600 Continentals, men from Virginia, Delaware, and Maryland. And we had over 1,000 militia. Most were from the Carolinas. One of them volunteers was me. It was so cold that morning. I don't know if our shivers was from the cold or from downright fear.
Scared of them redcoats?
They say when danger stares you in the face, it's best not to say. I was scared, all right, Sammy. I was scared white. You see, it was a hard, wild land back then. Thorns, briars, chiggers, see, Sammy, England was desperate for our rice and our indigo. So the British Charleston in May. A couple of weeks later, Tartan butchered a bunch of our boys at Waxhaw. And in August, those redcoats took Canada. So you see, Sammy, at the time, things weren't looking so good. George Washington named General Nathaniel Greene to command the Southern Army. Greene decided to cut his forces in two, split the Tories, confound the Cornwallis. He ordered General Daniel Morgan into South Carolina. The Flying Army, they called it. Orders were to threaten British posts in the Carolina backcountry, generally annoying the enemy in that quarter, and spirit up the people. This, of course, didn't sit too well with Cornwallis, so he sent Tartan after him.
So you were with General Morgan?
Those were Continentals, regular soldiers, brave men, trained to stand up to those British bayonets. I was with Pickens militia. Volunteers we was. Citizen soldiers fighting for the lands that we own. Fighting for our families. Fighting for Carolina. Morgan sent word off to Pickens for us militia to meet the Continentals at this place called the Cow Pens. For years, stockmen brought their cattle there to fatten up before shipping them down to Charleston. Then the history men say we shouldn't have fought where we did, that our sides was open. Even Tartan himself said it was the perfect place to give us a whooping. But Sam,
Hey, for the uppers, boys! Hey, we're out for the uppers!
we waited real still. When they got about 40 yards from us, I fired at an officer. He just kind of stopped, and then he sunk down. After firing our shots, we ran back behind the Continentals just as planned. But then, some of Tartan's dragoons come down. Benny Washington come out from behind his hill and cut him apart. If not for our cavalry, things might have turned out different that day. But those redcoats kept it coming. Waiting for him, just below the rise, was Morgan's surprise.
Give it to them, weapon boys!
Our Continentals. Morgan held us militia back about 100 yards. It was from there that I saw the whole thing. There was the voice of the guns, screams of the hit horses, commands, curses, like slaughter. Then on our right side, out of nowhere it seems, come the Scots Highlanders. Did that ever raise the hackles on my neck? And that's when things got muddled up. The Continental's right flank was ordered to face around and meet the Highlanders. But it was so loud, not everyone heard the whole order. I think some of them just heard march. So instead of turning to face the enemy, they started marching. Back. To old Tartan, it must have looked like we was on the run. As the Continentals marched back, Morgan had to reload on the way. Then they were to pick a spot and turn. Meanwhile, the Highlanders was coming on like a mob and closing in fast. They thought they'd won the battle then and there. And Sammy, this is the point of the whole story. Washington leaders described it as a murderous fire. But it was, Sammy. We then charged. Next thing I know, Washington's cavalry struck down from one side, and then us militia got around the other way. That was it. The trap door was closed shut. The Brits were on the ground, quite scared. More than 800 were now our prisoners. It all happened so quick. They hardly knew what hit them. Seeing almost his entire force captured, tarred and took. Billy Washington and his men went after me, but that scoundrel got away. I think we lost only about 20 men killed. It all worked out, according to General Morgan's plan. Well, then it almost didn't. We come close as a feather to being wiped out. Dan Charleston fancies called us mountain peoples the absolute scum of the universe. You know, our Continentals did fight bravely. But us militia helped win the battle for them. If it hadn't been for Cow Pens, there wouldn't be no Yorktown. And if it hadn't been for Cow Pens, the whole South could have stayed a British colony. It's like I can close my eyes and see it right now. That cold, icy sky, the redcoats coming after us with their bayonets, the shouting, the screaming. And I'll never forget the looks on their faces when they realized they'd done been trapped. Sammy, I never told this to no one. Don't want to talk about it again. 44 years ago. But you always remember what I told you. Always.
Thank you for joining us here on our adventure at the Cow Pens National Battlefield in Cow Pens, South Carolina. We hope you enjoyed the little film. Yes, we did have permission to film. It's amazing what a group of people can do. Thank God for rednecks.
Are you saying it again? Keep it.